Welcome to Lit Vibes Only, where we lit the shit out of books we love and hate. I'm Amanda, the insightful thrill seeker and historical fiction nerd.
And I'm Kelsey, the unhinged, diehard romantic and fantasy reader.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome. We want to first direct you towards our socials. You can find us on Instagram at livevibesonly_podcast and on TikTok and YouTube at Live Vibes Only Podcast. We love it when you engage with us. We work our butts off with full-time jobs, and trying to make funny and engaging content for y'all. And it's hard work. And so we do our best. So come show us the love. All right.
Yes. Come appreciate our hard work.
Extend that to go show us the love on your podcast platform, especially Apple and Spotify. We would love it if you rated and reviewed our podcast.
Yes,
and
please.
On Spotify, you can add a comment to an episode. So please do so. We love it when we hear from you, and it actually helps us in the end. So if you like us, even if it's not the podcast you like us as people, you can go head over to do that. Please and thank you.
Yes. I love that little caveat. Even if this isn't a great podcast, but you just think that we're like truly, genuinely nice, good people. Yes. Could you just do us a solid?
Do that, please, because it takes like 5 seconds.
Literally.
And it really helps a podcast. And
it does.
We are officially over a year.
Oh my God.
Old. We're little babies.
Yes.
And that is what's going to help other readers and other fans find us. So just do that for the other people too.
Yeah. Like think of all the other people whose lives we could brighten if they just were able to listen to this podcast.
Exactly.
Every Monday.
That's all they need in their lives.
That's all they needed to make their commute to work that much better, or whatever chores they're doing that much more interesting. So yes, we would love it if you could take a moment and do that. It's a big help. And we are going to be doing something a little bit different in this LitRex episode, where we're kind of taking a moment to reflect on the books that we recommended over the past year. But before we do that, as always, we want to check in with each other and see what we're up to on our individual reading journeys. So
it's funny because Amanda and I will post about our current reads on socials, but we rarely get to talk about them together.
It's true.
It's like this is our opportunity to talk about them a little bit. That's kind of funny.
Because the books that we're normally talking about are the books for our Lit It or Quit It episodes.
Right.
And not necessarily books that we're just reading because we want the two for fun.
And then also we just don't get together weekly. We get together maybe once a month.
I know
that.
It's crazy. And then even now that the school year is back in session, it's it's going to be even harder to find time to meet up in person. But
find events and stuff to go to that we can.
Yeah, you did send me an event a while ago that we didn't end up going to.
Oh yeah, that was yesterday, I think.
Yeah. It's just hard when you only have the weekends. There's so much to try and cram in, and it's almost impossible to do anything on a weekday evening. So time is limited. But so what are you currently reading? What are you getting into?
I actually just started. You would probably hate this.
Oh no.
Silver Elite by Danny Francis this morning.
That was all over Book Talk a while ago.
Yeah, so funny. Yeah, people were obsessed with it for a while. So I'm curious how I will feel. Although I have had similar feelings to you where I'm just okay, it's kind of clear who she's going to end up with. And I'm it's this broody, shadow daddy.
Ugh.
And I'm just
so boring.
Okay.
So predictable.
But I do think that a lot of these books, while they use tropes like that, they could easily not use them. That'd be great sometimes. But the magic systems and things like that, I feel are quite unique oftentimes. And so that's what
draws you in.
I really enjoy. But now that you've said it though, I'm just it is the same.
It is the same over and over and over again. It really is, with just slight tweaks. But is this is the book that people were comparing to The Hunger Games, right? Is it this one, or am I thinking of another one? I thought it was this one.
So far, I don't see that,
Okay, okay,
but
that could be wrong.
I'm not very far into it though.
Okay.
So I'm like
I
12%.
I just would remember when it came out and there was all of this noise about it and people were like, throwing out comparisons and criticisms. I
Mm.
felt like they were saying it was similar to something else, but not as good. And I thought it was Hunger Games, but maybe I'm just getting my wires crossed. It's quite possible.
Well, yeah,
But
it was often
it
compared
was.
to popular young adult dystopian fantasy novels like The Hunger Games, Divergent, and Fourth Wing.
Okay. Okay. So I wasn't off
Yeah,
base. Okay. I was like, I remember
dystopian
seeing
setting.
that in an article somewhere. I mean, and again, like we both do. We both love dystopian novels.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll be curious to hear your take on it when you finish.
Yeah.
I'm currently reading, or about to start reading, I should say, The Vacation by
Mhm.
John Mars. He's one of the new to me thriller authors that I've like discovered this year. And I've read two books by him so far. I have a third on my coffee table over there. That's part of his Dark Future series that I've been really enjoying. It's like very Black Mirror-esque and it's
Oh,
fantastic.
okay. Hmm.
And then I have just finally one of his like straight up thrillers called The Vacation. So gonna
Ooh.
hopefully get started on that one.
What's the premise of that one?
I honestly don't remember.
Mm.
I put it on my TBR a while ago and I haven't looked at like the book jacket description in a minute.
Hmm.
So I mean, people are traveling, they're on vacation.
That's pretty new.
But I like to look at the blurb again, like right before I start reading a book, just to orient myself. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's what I'm gonna get into very soon.
Great.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So, yeah, this is
Oh,
our, I feel like this is a Lit Rex episode, but it's going to feel like a Lit Chats episode because
a
we are just going to be
little
kind of
bit.
chatting and not necessarily recommending books.
Reminding you of books that we recommended.
Yeah. And this was very much Kelsey's brainchild. She was like, we should take a moment now that we're a year in and like
Year in.
reflect back on how our Lit Rex episodes went, which books
Hmm.
we really enjoyed and which ones we didn't, how we want to move forward. Like, do we want to keep
Hmm.
doing the same thing where we're like recommending books based on the same
Right.
heritage? Do we want to branch out? So we're just going to get into all of that today and
Yeah.
hopefully get some input from you guys after this because we want to make this podcast something that you guys are really excited about too. So,
Yeah. And how you think we could revamp this
yes.
portion of our podcast.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you.
We're very open to suggestions right now. We have some ideas, but this is
Yeah.
like a group community effort. And we want to be producing content that people want to listen to and that's relevant. And we
Yeah.
can't do that if we don't know what y'all think. So
And we don't want to
definitely,
waste our time for sure, like creating
yes.
these.
We just made a big point about like we're busy and we're like have very
Yes.
full lives and full-time jobs. So yeah, we want to make sure that when we are putting time into this, that it's time well spent and time
Hmm.
that, like you guys are getting a lot out of this and what you want out of it. So,
Yes.
yeah, where do we want to start? Do we want to start with our favorite books that we kind
Hmm.
of read over the year and that
Yeah.
okay, cool. Let's start there then. Because I have a little list in front of me of like 5 books
Okay.
and I don't know how many you have.
Have 4 with
Perfect.
kind of like an honorable mention of an author.
Ooh, okay. I love
Hmm.
that. I guess we can just go back and forth then.
Sure.
We didn't really like talk about the particular structure, but
Hmm.
I've said this before, I'll keep saying it. And I think it's very apropos for this episode. One of the things I really love about this podcast is that Kelsey is forcing me to read books, or, in our Lit Rex episodes, we are both recommending 2 books each, often books that we've
Hmm.
either read or have heard about and are really excited about.
Right.
And they're often books within our preferred genres.
Hmm.
And throughout these Lit Rex episodes, Kelsey has recommended books that I otherwise wouldn't have read or even had on my radar.
Right.
And so this first book is one of those that Kelsey just kind of ranted and raved about, both in our Lit Rex episodes and in other episodes in general, because she really loved this book. And it
Hmm.
was Lobisona
Oh my
by.
God. Wait, we should have talked about this beforehand.
Did you put that too? No, that's great.
Yes, that's
totally fine.
hilarious. But I thought
Um,
yeah, okay. We're good. We're good. We both love
We're
Lobisona.
we both love it, and I think it's great that we both had it because I don't know what's on Kelsey's list, and she just knows what's
Yeah,
on mine.
we
So
don't.
I actually love this very like genuine reaction she's having right now. It's very
That's so
authentic.
funny.
But yeah, Lobi Sona by Romina Garber. It's YA, it's
Mm-hmm.
fantasy, it's not a book I'd heard of at
Mm-hmm.
all. And I'm so glad I read it because it was definitely one of my favorite reads
Yeah.
throughout this first year of podcasting. And I still need to read the second book.
Oh
I
my
know,
God.
I know. That's the thing with series, and it's why I don't read them because I get really excited. And even when I want to keep reading, I just
Yeah.
get distracted, sidetracked. I'm off
Mm-hmm.
to the next shiny new book, and I don't,
No, it's hard. Like
I don't come
I
back.
have so many series I haven't finished.
Yeah.
So no,
Yep.
I get it.
Yeah.
But I thought you had.
I know. Because the next one's like Cazadora, I think.
Cazadora, yeah. And I
Yeah.
have that book, by the
Oh,
way.
I should just borrow it from you.
Yes.
I'll give you
When you
Legendborn and
will
then you can
flip
give
flop.
me, yes. Great. Great.
Oh, funny.
Yeah, but I loved it. It took me by surprise. It was a great character, a great world. I love that
Yeah.
it tied into like Latino culture and history and yeah, featured a strong female protagonist.
Yeah. And it's truly commentary on our immigration
Yep.
system,
Yes.
which is so
Mm.
relevant right now with, the current things happening in our country.
Yep.
And so it speaks to immigrant identity very
Hmm.
strongly in
Yes.
the book. And not only that, it also speaks to like gender identity as well.
Hmm.
And I just loved that integration of it rather than this like plot device that was being used. It was just
Yeah.
like the story itself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And we recommended it in our Latinx Heritage Month
One
episode.
September ago.
Yeah, which is crazy. But I feel like we also could have very easily incorporated it into our December episode,
Many.
which was about immigrant stories as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is definitely a book clearly that is well loved by both Kelsey and I. And if you
Mm-hmm.
haven't heard of this book, if you missed that episode, I would say absolutely like go back and check it out.
Yes,
It,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
And as
Yeah, one
always,
of my
don't
favorites.
let the YA label throw you. Like, there's so many good YA books that I feel like adults miss out
Totally.
on,
Yeah.
and are just deterred by that. And
Mm-mm.
it's a great book for sure.
Very
Okay,
good book.
well then what?
That was my first
Now
one,
I'm
Amanda.
curious if you have some of mine on yours. This is
Yeah,
gonna
now
be so
I'm wondering
interesting.
too. Because
You can
I
go
was just
next.
choosing the
Yeah.
ones that I had recommended.
Oh, I was just choosing any that I read or recommended that I just really loved and hold a special place
That's
in
so
my heart.
funny because I was also going to ask you if we should do, I wrote them down, I thought, but there was one I wrote down that's like on my TBR and coming up that you recommended.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
that kind of thing.
I gotcha.
Anyway,
Okay.
so my next one, The House in the Cerulean Sea
Oh, yes.
by
Such
TJ
yeah,
Klune.
we both read that one. Yeah.
And TJ Klune has now become one of my favorite authors. I absolutely adore his writing style or is it they?
I think it's they.
Did we
I'm going to
talk
double
about
check.
that
I'm going to double check while you're
recently?
speaking
Yeah.
because I feel like this happened the last time we were discussing
Yes.
TJ Klune. So I'll double check.
And so TJ Klune just has a beautiful way of storytelling. And I cried in the last book that I read of theirs. And
It's him, by the way. I did
okay,
check.
perfect. Thank
Yeah.
you. But there was an author that we messed that up
Yes.
for. And so
Yeah.
thank you for checking.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that will definitely hold a special place in my heart, this book, because I love the children in it. And the audiobook, if you have not read this book, you need to pick up the audio. Even if you want to do immersive,
Okay.
like the audio is so well done. And all of the children have different voices.
Oh,
and,
nice. I love that.
No, yes, it's so good.
Maybe I'll listen to the audiobook for the second book because I haven't read the second one
yeah.
yet. And if it's the similar or the same
Yes, it is.
narrators, I feel like I might have to
Yeah.
do that.
No, it's very good.
I also love this book. It's very much a cozy read. It's very
Absolutely.
cute and heartwarming and funny. It's a funny book.
Yes, it's hilarious.
It's hilarious. Like you're
Love
gonna
it.
laugh out loud reading it. And if you just need a feel good story, especially like now that we're in the fall or almost, to the official start of fall, like
Mm-hmm.
great book to read at this time of
Yes.
year. And you recently read or finished Under the Whispering Door and you
Yes.
loved it, which was so funny
Loved
because
it.
you started it and you were like, this is dumb. I don't like it. Like The House in the Cerulean Sea was so much better. And I was like, no, I like this book
Uh,
maybe even better than Cerulean Sea.
I don't
And
know
you
that.
end up really liking it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to rate them like
Sure.
side by side.
Because they're very different.
They're very different, and they still have like the very endearing like characters,
Yeah.
and it's just the way that TJ writes his characters. They're just
Mm-hmm.
so human and like
Mm-hmm.
fairly normal folks, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just like what a character could be or any other human could be experiencing in their
Yeah.
life, these circumstances. And so I just love it. But I don't know that I could compare the two or say like what one I like
Sure.
more because
That's
they
fair.
just have different themes and structure and like characters that just I
Yeah.
really hold both of those sets of characters.
That's fair. I think they have similar vibes. Like they both have this like even when they're dealing with heavier topics like in Under the Whispering
Mm-hmm.
Door, like there is this element of like almost like whimsy or I don't even know what the word is that I'm looking for that makes it really accessible and endearing.
Mm-hmm.
It almost like they read kind of like fairy tales, but not in the sense that they're I'm not saying this well, but you just have to
I hear
read.
you.
Yeah, it does have this kind of fairy tale, kind of fantastical element. I think whimsy is the right word, but whimsy makes it sound like it's
Yeah.
like really lighthearted and superficial,
Oof.
and it's
Yeah.
not.
No.
But they read like fairy tales or parables or something. I don't know. You just have to read his work. I actually,
Yes.
just as we were talking, I hopped onto my Libby and added the audiobook for
Oh, good. Yes.
because have you read the second book? And
Yeah.
oh, you have. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I need to read that still. So it is now on my Libby. But yeah, that's a good one. I'm glad you mentioned that one.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm remembering correctly, was that for Pride Month or was that for our LGBTQ plus history month in
It was for, oh my
I
gosh,
think that was
October. Yeah,
October. Okay, that's what I thought.
LGBTQ plus history
Heritage.
month.
Okay, that's a good one. And since we're kind of on that theme, another book that I really loved that I think I also recommended that month was Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Yes.
Love that book. It was again maybe one of the first romances, like just kind of straight up romance I'd
Mm,
read as an adult or maybe ever because I don't really read romances. And I truly was pleasantly surprised. And it was one of those books that I was
yeah.
so happy that I had stepped outside of my normal genres because I
Hmm.
thoroughly enjoyed it. And as I said in that episode, like well-crafted characters, it has depth. It's not just like a fluffy romance that doesn't have any substance to it. It's a
Hmm.
queer romance, right? It's
Hmm.
two gay men and they're both kind of the sons of heads of state. And so the stakes are high. It was just
Yeah.
beautiful. It was laugh out loud funny. It was really
Very
smart.
funny.
There also is,
Hmm.
political and social commentary happening as well. So there's like some stuff to sink your teeth into. And yeah, I was just really pleasantly surprised. It definitely became one of my
Yeah.
favorite reads. And I was like, okay, maybe I am a little bit of a romance girly.
And also, I don't know how I read it because I remember I read it back in July of last year, but
Yeah.
you had read it before
Before
me.
that, yes.
But I don't remember if you recommended it to me.
I feel like I did. And I know also like there was the Amazon show or movie that came out. So I wonder if maybe
Hmm.
you also heard about it through that as well. But I definitely mentioned it to you because I know you love romance. And I just thought that that was a really,
But even
really
before
fun.
July, because
Mhm.
we weren't talking about books really until
Still talk because I mean, in
August.
February when we were in Vegas, right, we were talking about this podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
we've been having chats about books before that. So
It's so
yeah.
funny. It took so long to start it. And then, yeah, it just has been
I
going.
mean, we had like our first real chat, like outlining things coming up with a name in February, and then we
Yeah.
kicked things off. We started recording in August.
August.
So
Yeah.
that's not, and we had to finish up the school year. We had to like
Totally.
figure out
Yes.
so much
No.
stuff to get it off the ground. So it wasn't that long. Yeah. So that's my second one.
Okay. I'm on my third one now.
Okay.
So Firekeeper's Daughter.
Ah, that's on my list too.
By Angeline
I knew it
Boulley.
was going to be on there. Oh,
I
so
could
good.
not get
Not put this
this.
on here.
I couldn't get through this episode without mentioning this book.
Yeah.
It is still like all of these books are some of my absolute favorite books of all time. And
Yeah.
so the Firekeeper's Daughter, it's it can be heavy at times. The characters are well rounded. The storytelling is really well done. Angeline Boulley is a really great writer. She has 2 other books out,
She
and
does,
I
yeah.
need to get on that because I have a feeling she's going to be one of my favorite authors. But this is the only book I've read of hers.
Yeah.
The other thing that like hooked me in this book was the plot twists I didn't see coming that came quickly at the very beginning and then propelled the story forward.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
What did you?
It's another stellar YA book that, doesn't shy away from dealing with heavy subject matter and like the modern day struggles and challenges of Indigenous folks and is really shedding a light on that. So there's so many reasons to love this book and to read this book. And again, had never heard of this book prior to Kelsey mentioning it. And like she would mention this book all the time. Like all the time.
You have to read it, Amanda. I know you're gonna love
and
it.
I kind of put it off. And then I read it and I was like, I'm kicking myself for delaying this for so long. I actually have the book behind me on my shelf. And then of course I've been recommending it to lots of other people. So this book was featured in our Native American Heritage Month, also in the fall, last fall. So again, be sure to go back and check out that episode to hear more about that book and other books we recommended. But I think for that month especially, that was like a big highlight for me.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Why don't so I'll read my next 2 together, like do both at the same time since you only had 4 and then I kind of stole one of yours.
3, I think. And then we're done.
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
done.
Okay.
And then I have a special author.
Okay. So the other 2 were books that I have read and recommended. So one of them was Codename Helene, which I recommended for our Women's History Month episode. And it's historical fiction. It's by Ariel Lahan. And I just loved it because it's based on a true story. This actual woman in World War II who was a spy and worked for the French resistance. And her story is insane. Like, you don't really need to fictionalize anything about her life to make it more interesting or more like readable or compelling. Like the woman, Nancy, her name was Nancy Wake. She just had this phenomenal life and ended up writing her own memoir that this book draws heavily from. So it's really incredible. And of course, a woman that you don't hear about a lot because we don't often hear about women, especially within the context of military history. So really loved it for that. And I've also then gone on to read other Ariel Lahan books like The Frozen River, which we also covered on this podcast. So really enjoyed that. And then the other book that I absolutely have to mention, because I feel like this book, for whatever reason, hasn't gotten enough buzz or hype, and I think it deserves it, is Chain Gang All-Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. And I recommended this one for our Pride Month episode because it features 2 women. It's a sapphic romance. Well, it's not just a sapphic romance, but that is part of the story.
Yeah.
And it's also a book I could have easily also recommended for Black History Month. And it's essentially a commentary on our prison system, on our criminal justice system and systemic racism that is pervasive throughout it. And also just our society's obsession with violence as a form of entertainment. So many good reasons to read this book. And as I mentioned in that episode, this book also has a lot of footnotes where he's providing you with factual information about what's going on in our current prison system and in our current criminal justice system. So it's also highly educational. Yeah. Fabulous. We need to cover this on the podcast in a Lit It or Quit It episode. We'll need to do that soon.
It's on my TBR. And actually, I had a friend, shout out to you, Heather. Hey. Hi, Heather. She's currently reading it right now. And I was like, oh yeah, it's on my TBR. Like, I need to see if it's available. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely one of the ones that you have recommended that's on my TBR. Yeah. The other one that I have waiting for me in Libby, well, I'm waiting for it in Libby, is All My Rage by,
Oh,
who was that
yes.
by?
By,
Tahir?
yeah, Saba Tahir or something.
Okay.
Sophia
Yeah.
Tahir. Yeah. I have to look up her name.
So I'm curious about that book. I want to read that one. That was a
Yeah.
memoir, right?
Yeah, no, it's fiction, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
partially based on her life, and
Okay.
we recommended it for a Muslim Heritage Month episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I also want to read that.
Mm-hmm.
I think kind of as we're finishing up this first segment of the this episode in terms of books, like I also on my TBR, it's actually I'm also waiting for it. Libby is Death of the Author, which is a book that I found and recommended
Oh,
for
yeah.
Disability Pride Month
Mm-hmm.
that I'm super stoked to read.
I've
I
heard
think it's
really good
like
things about that book.
same. I think it's got like a 13-week wait or something, which is insane.
Yeah, I just put on Codename Helene because I remember I wanted to read that one, and it was like the same, like
Yeah,
13 weeks.
it's so
What?
crazy. So many books.
I'm like waiting 5 months for a book.
Although I will say, I think Libby often overestimates the time because
Yes,
sometimes
I
I'll
do
get it
think
in
so.
a much shorter time than that. But
18
um,
weeks.
oh God, that's so long.
17 weeks for another one I did a few days ago. So I
Oh
don't know.
God,
Chain
yeah.
Gang actually has 14-week wait.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it is I guess it's a good sign because that means it is
Yeah.
somewhat, popular and getting traction.
Yes.
But I think one of the things that I wanted to say to kind of segue into more kind of more general comments about how our LitRex episodes went, I think
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I personally want to do in this coming year as we continue with our LitRex episodes is to actively be reading or read a book connected to that month's topic during that month. And I wasn't doing that always.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
because sometimes I was like recommending books that I had read previously, but wasn't reading that month per se. I think the only
Yeah.
month this year that I was reading a book that was connected to the topic
I
at the
can see.
time was for Muslim
Oh,
American Heritage Month because I read
okay.
Unashamed, like the musings of a fat black Muslim
Oh,
woman
yeah.
or
That's the
fat
other
black
one I want to
Muslim.
read too.
Yeah, and that was the only time when I was like, oh, I'm like reading the book during the month that we're highlighting. And I want to
Yeah.
do a better job of that,
Mm-hmm.
just to make sure I'm being really conscientious
Mm-hmm.
that, I'm diversifying my reading. I feel like I do that pretty well normally, but yeah, because
Yeah.
I felt, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but I think Disability Pride Month, Muslim American Month, Heritage Month, and Neurodiversity Month were the 3 months that I had the most difficulty finding books that I had read. I don't know what the months were for you personally, but it was a good moment of reflection for me. Like, oh, I do need to make more of an effort to read books
Mm-hmm.
that feature characters with various, disabilities or
Yeah.
that are neurodiverse or that are Muslim American because I don't actually.
And then also, like, even the bookstore you go to,
Mm-hmm.
they decide
Yeah.
what's available, not you. And
Yeah.
so, like, Elliott Bay does a really good job of having a
Mm-hmm.
wide, diverse selection. But
Mm-hmm.
I think it was January, the Arab History Month, or
Arab American.
yes,
Hmm.
they
Oh,
they didn't
yes. We
have
talked
like
about this in that
anything,
episode. Yeah.
even though, of course, there are so many Arab American writers. We just have to kind of like find them, which is
Yeah.
part of the issue,
Or,
right?
maybe there aren't, right? Maybe there aren't as many as there should be. Like maybe in
Yeah.
reality, like there's not a lot of Arab American writers that are getting, agents and contracts with these publishing houses. And
Hmm.
so maybe there is actually a dearth of
Yeah.
those writers, and we need to work on changing that in the publishing
Yeah.
world.
Could be
So
indie authors though too. I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
They
But
are just harder to find
But I think what you said is really
sometimes.
it's a really good point. Like if you are shopping local
Hmm.
and you're someone who tends to buy books more than borrow, you are limited by whatever your bookstore has. It's really going to
Yeah.
determine what books you have access to and what you're reading.
Hmm.
And if what is out there is mostly like, white cisgender authors or whatever, then like that's
Hmm.
what you're gonna be reading.
Yeah.
So I think bookstores do have a prerogative,
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
diversify what they're selling. I think people
Hmm.
worry about it obviously affecting their book sales and they want to cater to what's popular
Sure.
on Book Talk and whatever,
Right.
but
Hmm.
that's to the detriment of
And
us.
that's the reality, right? But we're
Yeah.
doing that. That's the thing. Is like we
Yeah.
are doing that. We're making what's popular
Popular.
popular.
Yeah.
So that's why I will not shut up about my daughter. Oh my God.
Firekeeper's
I got
Daughter.
too excited. Firekeeper's Daughter and Lobi Sona, because not a lot of people are talking about those books. And I just want to
Yeah.
be like, yes, please love on these books. The author deserves all the accolades. Like
Yeah.
they need it. And the
Yes.
only way that that happens if we talk about it.
Yes, exactly.
The other thing that I wanted to mention before we get too deep into this part of the conversation
Sure.
was a author that pleasantly surprised me.
Oh, yes. You mentioned, yeah.
Where Helen Huang, I first mentioned her
Hmm.
in our, oh my gosh, I'm like
Was it our
scrolling.
AAPI?
Yes, our May
Okay.
episode where we featured a NHPI
Hmm.
authors or
Hmm.
stories. And she also features and speaks to a lot of various disabilities and neurodiverse characters. The last book I read, the protagonist had autism
Oh,
and
yeah.
or was autistic. And I just thought she did such a good job of describing
Hmm.
like what that emotional burden and weight
Hmm.
could feel like on a person.
Hmm.
So I feel like she definitely does do her research
Yeah.
around the topics that she's featuring. And I love that. And I thought it
Oh,
was well done. And that was the heart principle, that one
okay.
that I'm referring to. But yeah, the emotional depth in her
Yeah.
characters, I love that.
And she's a romance author, right?
Yes,
Or
yes.
okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I thought that's what you mentioned in that episode. That's
Mm-hmm.
great. Yeah, I definitely feel like I have a whole list of books and authors from this year that I still
Yeah.
need to dive into, which is it's great. It's a great problem
Mm-hmm.
to have. And again, authors and books that I would have otherwise been unaware of.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have just been a gap in my reading experience. So
Totally.
I'm really proud of us for yeah, putting these folks out here for each other to engage
Yeah.
with and for like our Lit Vibes only community
Mm-hmm.
to broaden their perspectives and their own reading journey and experiences because it's so easy to get into your little reading silo and be like this is what I read and this is only what I read and be
Mm-hmm.
unconcerned with or maybe even afraid of stepping outside of
Mm-hmm.
that to try something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we recommend books in our Litrex episodes that we've heard about but haven't personally read.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
so obviously there's the risk there of like once we do actually reading it being like, oh, I don't know if I would have if I enjoyed this book as much as I thought. Were
Yeah.
there any books like that for you this year? I don't know if there were for me, like off the top of my head,
Yeah.
where I read it and I was like, oh, this didn't quite hit the way that I thought it was going to.
Mm-hmm. I have one
Okay.
that it just wasn't it wasn't like a quit it, but it definitely
Okay.
was one that I was like, oh, maybe I would have chosen a different book because I wasn't in love with it.
Okay.
Right. Like I really want to highlight books that I'm drawn to and that
Mm-hmm.
I would read again or recommend, and which is what we do on this episode. But yeah, it was Dash of Salt and Pepper. And it
Oh,
was a
yes.
romance book by Kosoko Jackson.
Okay.
And it just didn't hit for me.
Okay.
That's
That's
all.
fair. Yeah.
But that was just one that I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. That's fair. I feel like most of the books I recommended this year I had read except for a handful, and one of them, which I just mentioned a little bit ago, that I recommended and then read was Unashamed: Musings of a Fat
Yeah.
Black Muslim. And I didn't honestly think it was incredibly well written. I
Mm,
wouldn't say that she's an author per se. Well, I mean she is an author because she wrote a book, but she does a lot of other things. She's like a model and a social media influencer and a public speaker. And I
mm,
think, this was her chance to share her story. And I'm glad that she
okay.
did. And I learned a lot, but it wasn't necessarily the most well written memoir. So that would be my only book that I'd be like, I might have recommended something different, but I still think it's a book worth reading,
Mm-hmm.
just for those insights into her particular experience, especially
Mm-hmm.
because you don't hear a lot about the Black Muslim experience. There's not a lot of books that I'm aware of, right, about that particular experience. It's
Yeah.
usually, Muslim American, and they're also Arab, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she is kind of filling that niche. But that would be
Yeah.
the only one where I was like, I was a little on the fence about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, especially as we're trying to consider our next steps for
Mm-hmm.
Lit Rex this year, both in December and in August, so last month, December and August don't have heritage months associated with them, at least not big ones. And so
Mm,
we came up with our own. So we chose immigrant stories for December. And then for last month, we did like multiracial,
mm-hmm.
multicultural stories and books. And so
Yeah.
I liked that. I like that we got to choose the topics or the areas to focus on that aren't necessarily
Yeah.
represented officially in the calendar. So I
Mm-hmm.
like the idea of doing that moving forward.
Totally.
Like especially underrepresented groups that, yeah, don't have a
Mm-hmm.
month dedicated to them, but there are still stories and authors out there that we can highlight. So
Yeah.
I'm very much on board with doing
Yeah,
that.
I'm definitely open to that. And there's just so many options. That's the
So
thing.
many.
Like so many options. And we can make it as narrow or wide as we want.
Yeah.
And like in August, it was quite wide.
It was very broad.
Your understanding of it was not. And then
The,
I made it wide.
yes, mine was yeah, pretty defined, like well defined, like boundaries. And then Kelsey came in with these
And then
books,
I
and I was
was
like,
like,
"All
what
right,
about this
guess
one?
it's multicultural too. Let's do the whole thing." But this is also an area, listeners, where again we'd really love your input. You know, are there particular heritage backgrounds, identities,
Mhm.
experiences that you would love for us to highlight? Like,
Yes.
email us, DM us, comment on this episode. Like, that's a really great place to get your feedback on
Hmm.
that. Because I think the other thing that Kelsey and I have talked about doing moving forward is there are also a lot of months that have multiple identities associated with them, right?
Yes.
Multiple
Hmm.
experiences or heritages, et cetera, that are
Hmm.
all packed into one month. And
Yeah.
so we also talked about pulling those out as well as we head into the next year and doing that. I do think there is a part of me though for some of the bigger months, which sounds
Like,
awful because I don't want to make one
I know what you're going to
identity
say.
more important than the other. And yes, you probably know what I'm going to say, but like Black History Month, right?
Yeah.
We're even, with Pride Month or whatever, like it would seem, or even honestly for like Hispanic or Latinx Heritage Month, it would seem kind of remiss to not continue recommending books, but I also don't want you guys, listeners, to feel like we've done this before.
Or even if we like narrow it to like a sub
Yes.
identity,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
transgender
Yeah,
stories
exactly. Oh, I love
or
that. Yeah.
Caribbean stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So
I
things
love
like
that.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that sub identities or like little niches within the larger,
Yeah.
broader identity because there are
Or
so many.
Afro Latino
Yes.
identity. Like,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what we're thinking, listeners.
Yep.
And, this is, like I said, a very kind of open conversation, both between Kelsey and I, but with all of you, because this is your
Mm-hmm.
community too.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important that we're keeping in mind all of those voices and being inclusive, because that's what we want to
Mm-hmm.
do. So even if there's identities that, I don't know, like might not even be on our, I don't know, our radar, just based on our own positionality, but
Yeah.
you're like, hey, have you thought about this?
Or even like thinking about the current conflicts in our world,
Yeah.
right? Palestinian stories, Sudanese
Yeah.
stories,
Yes.
Ukrainian stories,
Yes.
like really broadening
I
it
love that.
outside of ourselves
Yeah.
and bringing in part of that because we are educators
We
at the end
are.
of the day.
Yeah.
I would love to bring in stories that just are less told, I suppose.
Yeah. But also, I like that because I think bringing in a more global perspective too,
Mm-hmm.
because even when we've done other identities, it's always still been like based in the United States. So it's like
Right.
Muslim American or like Arab
Right.
American or whatever it might be, or
Mm-hmm.
Asian American, which are all great and valid. And of course, they're incorporating the cultures that they're bringing with them
Mm-hmm.
here. But that still is a different experience than reading a
Yeah.
book that is solely based in another country, told by a person from that country and that culture.
Right.
So I love that, right? Adding
Because
a bit more of a global aspect.
yeah, I think that's what this space we've created is all about, right? Like,
Yeah.
is just highlighting those
Hmm.
untold stories
Yeah.
and bringing light to them.
Yes.
And that's what this has become. And
Yeah.
then our our quitted episodes are
Yeah.
more of the popular books happening that people
Yeah.
are reading right now, but we're
Exactly.
bringing voice to these other ones that
Yes.
also that are like more important and just like more relevant to our lives as well.
Yeah. Because I think we do
Yeah.
want that balance there, right? We
Totally.
do want to be able to talk about what's popular and
Mm-hmm.
relevant and like what people are chatting about and books
Yeah.
that people are reading, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also adding that element of exposure and curiosity and learning and
Mm-hmm.
broadening those perspectives.
Yeah.
And I will say I feel like especially in our first year as we're just kind of figuring things out, I think we did a really good job of that, of kind of appealing to
Yeah.
both of those elements. And I hope you guys feel the same way.
Patting ourselves
Listeners.
on the backs over
Little
here.
pat on the back. I think, it's good to do that sometimes.
Totally.
But
And
yeah.
just a year under wraps. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
huge
It's
accomplishment.
a
And
huge
it's
accomplishment.
wild to think that's where we're at now.
Yeah. And it's always good in those moments to do what we're doing, which is like to take a moment to take
Yeah.
stock, to reflect, to think about what we want moving forward. So we're moving forward
Yeah.
with purpose and with intention.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in doing so, yeah, we'll continue to build this community and
It's
draw
funny
new
because
listeners.
Amanda and I can just look at our accomplishments and like all of the recs that we've made throughout the year. It is 34 pages
Yep.
on a Google Doc, like single spaced. Like, we put in a lot of work, and I'm proud of us
Yes.
for that. And
Absolutely.
just glad we're going to be continuing into another
Yay, me too. It is a
year.
labor of love. And
For
when
sure.
we were first brainstorming about this podcast and how we wanted to structure it and what kind of material and content we wanted to produce,
Mm-hmm.
we both as educators wanted to have some sort of element of education and growth
Yep.
and learning in this. And for us, that was what LitRex was for. Like that was a way for us
Yep.
to insert that into this podcast. And so I think that's something that, yeah, just holds a lot of value and importance for both of us. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're excited to kick off another year of this, starting with our LitRex episode
be-
next month. So
Mhm.
definitely stay tuned for that. And yeah, as we're wrapping things up, of course, I'm going to remind you guys one more time where to find us on socials, because again, that's the best way to communicate with us,
Yes.
to stay up to date with what's going on, to really become an active member of this community. So
Mm-hmm.
again, we're on TikTok and YouTube at Lit Vibes Only Podcast. Again, you can watch our full length video episodes. You can like our videos, comment, follow, all of that good stuff. Get involved in the voting that happens every Thursday for our
Yes.
Lit It or Quit It episodes.
Oh my gosh, we have so much fun there.
Yeah. And then also what we do for our LitRex episodes every Thursday, we ask for you to add to the list of books that we're recommending so we can share those out. So really great way to get involved. You can do all of that also on our Instagram, which is litvibesonly_podcast. So if you're not actively doing those things yet, if you're been a little shy, don't be shy. Jump right in. There's so many great folks already in our community, and we want to hear from you. And
Yeah.
the other thing that you can do, as Kelsey mentioned, is to rate and review us if you haven't taken the time to do that yet. Really help to get the word out about this podcast, get more folks reading different things,
Right.
and, promoting these authors and these stories that might be underrepresented otherwise. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with us.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Hope you enjoyed it. We cannot wait to hear what you guys think and what you're looking for in terms of LitRex as we head into this new year. So don't be shy. Let us know what you're thinking. And otherwise, we'll see you next Monday.
Bye.
Bye.